interestingly enough, did not attend these meetings at City Council on Trail Ridge. He's taking a position that the law doesn't absolutely require it. That scarcely matters. I mean, doing the right thing by the taxpayers obviously does require that you bid this contract, even if the law doesn't require it. And the entire thrust of the law, and in its preambles, it says just what we have been saying, that the best possible result for the taxpayers is going to be generated by a competitive bid process.
It's hard to believe that cronyism isn't in place when you see so much resistance to something that has a relatively simple solution.
Yes, it's very hard to believe, and of course we are talking about at a minimum tens of millions and quite possibly and probably hundreds of millions of dollars over the expected life of the contract. That's an awful lot of money, and the influence that might be brought to bear with that, I'm not even going to speculate about.
So we all agree in principle that bidding a city contract it's better than simply awarding a contract to a qualified contractor of the city's choice. And behind the scenes, we are extremely suspicious of the idea that some kind of payback or, shall I say, some kind of return for that favor is likely to come the way of elected officials in the way of campaign funds, or possibly something that that is hidden and we do not gain knowledge of because it's illegal.
That's true, and there's certainly been more than our fair share of those scandals in the city.
Oh, we're
lately.
having these come out every day.
They are occurring. We have some of the independent agencies. Their heads have been under investigation or even indicted because of just precisely this kind of
It seems like there's an investigation into almost every corner of this local government these days. You know, the FBI is looking at the police, for example, and I welcome this, frankly. I think it can help to snap things back into place so the government serves the people, not an elite group of cronies down at City Hall.
Well, one of the good things about a federalist form of government is that you do have a check there. I mean, that the state can look at local institutions, and the feds can look at local and state institutions. Then the states, of course, in their own way, and the voters can try to help monitor federal institutions. But people have to care, and that's really what we're first and foremost concerned about. But let me give you an example of what happens with competitive bidding. There was, you might remember the batting cage ordinance from last summer. City Council President Richard Clark wanted some funds spent on a batting cage. He attempted to pass the bill as an emergency. We opposed that. There was a lot of general opposition. Ethics Commission questioned it. It turns out that once the bill was properly bid in a non-emergency manner, that it was built for $8,000 less than it would have been under his original bill.
Okay.
Now, $8,000, I suppose you can say, is a drop in the bucket, but
yes.
you add that up over the course of hundreds of bills over a year, and
Absolutely.
We are looking at a budget crisis. I mean, we can't afford to forego savings in order to expedite a process for something as non-critical as a batting cage. I'm not saying a batting cage isn't a good thing.
Right.
I mean, but now there's $8,000 in dollars that can be spent on other entertainment, other sports facilities, other things that the public can use other than profit for a contractor. And this is no different, clearly, because you may be talking about 29 years from now, but those taxpayers are as worthy of our attention and consideration. I mean, these are people who are our descendants, presumably. They are as worthy of our caring about how much they're paying in taxes as we are this year and next.
John, for the people that are just learning about this or that aren't sure, just starting to get angry at their government and that kind of stuff, what steps can they take? How do they get involved? How can they make a difference? Or if they have questions and that kind of stuff, because this is seems like a lot of information, so how do you get plugged into it?
Well, this particular present offer from Waste Management is is called Ordinance 2010-217. If you go to the city's website, that's www.coj.net, you can pull up 2010-217, look at the ordinance, look at the city council auditor's report, look at all the things that we've been talking about.
And if I may add the details, you go to the city council button, you go to city council on the first menu under divisions, and then legislative search, right? Legislation search when you get to the city council area, and you will find you can search by number or by keywords such as trail ridge or landfill.
For example.
For example, and find the actual text of that bill. You'll typically have to call up a file from their group of files, maybe the original file, addenda, and the final text of the bill. And any citizen can do this, by the way, and while you're at that site, you can also check out who your city council member is. Look on your voter registration card for the city council district if you don't know already. And go to council members, and you'll find phone numbers, emails, and you're also able to send a snail mail or a letter to these people and tell them that you believe, as the concerned taxpayers do, that bidding contracts is a far better principle for doing city business than to give contracts to friends. So there you have, at your command, really, it's the city website, and we applaud them for having that information. Of course, they're not allowed to hide it, but you can find out who your council member is if you don't know, and contact that person one way or another. An email becomes public record, so be aware of the fact that if you send an email to anyone in city government, it could be viewed by the media or anyone in the entire world. So that's how to contact them. And we're looking at past, present, and future of the Trail Ridge contract here now in debate in City Council. Actually, this is kind of a momentous point in the whole process, isn't it, John?
Well, it is. Litigation has been going on for almost a year now. We've already spent $450,000 in litigation expenses, and I might add approximately $250,000 of that was spent just in the mediation process to come up with this incredibly lousy offer from Waste Management.
Lawyers cost too much, John. That's the problem. Right?
As a lawyer who is not benefiting from this particular contract, I can honestly say that from my point of view, it isn't. But as somebody pointed out to me, I'm probably the person with the most knowledge about this who isn't getting paid to know it in the entire city. So, but this is very time sensitive, and I might say that this offer is scheduled to expire on April 30th. If it hasn't been accepted, nothing would prevent them from making another offer, of course. So City Council has to deal with this by April 30th. If you're hearing us before April 30th, then I would urge you to email, and not only your own City Council member, but email all of the City Council members. You also have 5 at-large members. You know,
yes.
that you could consider your own. So everybody has at
Absolutely.
least 6 of their own City Council members, and the other 13, frankly, you need to hear from all of us about this, because in my view, it's appalling that even 9 of them would consider that this is not something that needs to be bid.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Go ahead, please.
I'm interested in knowing if we have any vocal advocates that are speaking that we need to bid it that are on the City Council right now. Is there anybody that's kind of working with the concerned taxpayers, or that has kind of been consistently on the right side of this issue?
well, John Gresham-Benny has been on the right side of this issue and has taken and is proactively looked at and analyzed things. I mean, before any other City Council member that I know of had read this new proposed extension of the contract, he had read it and forwarded it to us, for that matter. So John Gresham-Benny